Skol Nation, rise up. The season may have ended in the chronological sense, the calendar may have turned, and the stadium lights may have dimmed for a brief moment in time. But do not be mistaken for even a fraction of a second. The war machine that is the Minnesota Vikings never sleeps, never rests, and never stops churning in the pursuit of ultimate glory. While the casual fans look away, waiting for September to roll around again, the true warriors of the front office, led by the strategic mind of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and the tactical brilliance of Kevin O'Connell, are already deep in the trenches, sharpening the blades for the battles to come in 2026. We are not just talking about minor adjustments here. We are talking about the relentless acquisition of raw power, the kind of visceral strength that shakes the very foundations of the NFC North. The silence of the offseason is merely the deep breath before the scream of victory. And today, that silence has been broken by the sound of heavy footsteps approaching US Bank Stadium. The news dropping out of Eagan is not just a standard transaction wire update. It is a declaration of intent. The Minnesota Vikings, despite their season concluding in Week 18, have continued their aggressive, proactive approach on Tuesday, refusing to wait for the draft or the high-priced frenzy of free agency to bolster the ranks. They have looked beyond the borders, beyond the conventional pools of talent, and they have extracted two absolute diamonds from the rough. Two warriors forged in the cold fires of the Canadian Football League, who are hungry, desperate, and physically gifted enough to tear an offensive line apart. We are talking about highly acclaimed additions that bring a level of physicality that fits perfectly into the chaotic, aggressive, no-holds-barred defensive scheme orchestrated by Brian Flores. This is about adding heavy artillery to a unit that thrives on disruption. The headline name here, the man who is about to become a household name for those who obsess over the trenches, is Jaylon Hutchings. Do not let the fact that he comes from the Calgary Stampeders fool you for a second. This man is a force of nature. We are talking about a defensive lineman who stands at 6 foot flat, a dense, compact wrecking ball weighing in at 304 pounds. But it isn't just the size, it is the explosive power contained within that frame. This is a man who was ranked 63rd on Bruce Feldman's legendary Freaks list, a list reserved for the most genetically gifted athletes on the planet. Why? Because this 300-pound behemoth possesses a 500-pound bench press and a 700-pound squat. Let that sink into your mind. 700 pounds. That's the kind of power that moves mountains, or in this case, moves 330-pound NFL guards backwards against their will. And yet, despite that immovable strength, he has been clocked running at 18 miles per hour. A man of that size moving at that speed is not a football player. He is a physics equation gone wrong for the offense. He is a kinetic missile. Before we continue, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching this news from? This signing represents a strategic masterstroke in the roster-building philosophy of the Vikings. By securing Hutchings on a futures contract now, the Vikings are bypassing the bidding wars. They are identifying a player who dominated the CFL, recording 39 defensive tackles, 8 sacks, and a forced fumble in just 17 games, and bringing him into the fold before the rest of the league wakes up. He was the top-graded defensive player in the entire Canadian League according to Pro Football Focus. Think about the implications of that. In a league filled with professionals fighting for their livelihoods, Hutchings was the best defender on the field. He has NFL experience, having spent time with the Chicago Bears in the 2024 preseason, so he knows the speed of the game. He knows what is required. But now he comes to Minnesota with a chip on his shoulder and a resume of dominance. Brian Flores loves defensive linemen who can generate internal pressure, players who can collapse the pocket and force the quarterback to panic. Hutchings, with his low center of gravity and immense lower body strength, is built to ruin the integrity of the pocket. In a division with mobile quarterbacks and intricate run schemes, you need guys who can eat space and destroy blocks. Hutchings is that guy.
But the Vikings were not done. Oh no. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah did not simply sign one monster and call it a day. He decided to raid the Calgary Stampeders for yet another piece of their defensive soul. Following the acquisition of Hutchings, the Vikings also snagged one of his teammates, a linebacker by the name of Jacob Roberts. And if Hutchings is the hammer, Roberts is the spear. This is a signing that screams depth and versatility, two words that are the lifeblood of a successful Brian Flores defense. Roberts, a native of Charlotte, North Carolina, led the Stampeders with 93 defensive tackles in the 2025 season. 93 tackles. That is a player who is constantly around the ball, a player with the instincts and the motor to pursue the play from sideline to sideline until the whistle blows. He added 9 special teams tackles, 4 sacks, and a forced fumble in his first year as a starter. This is production. This is tangible evidence of a player who impacts the game every time he steps onto the field. The scouting report on Roberts is fascinating and points directly to why the Vikings pulled the trigger on this deal. At 6'1" and 233 pounds, he fits the modern mold of the NFL linebacker. The days of the hulking, slow-footed linebackers are over. Today's NFL is a passing league, a space game, played in nickel packages at a staggering rate. You need linebackers who can drop into coverage, who can run with tight ends, who can close the gap on running backs catching passes in the flat. NFL Draft Diamonds projected Roberts as a player with legit starter potential at the next level, specifically noting his ability to fit into a 4-3 defense as a Mike or Sam linebacker. But in Flores's hybrid scheme, Roberts offers something even more valuable: adaptability. He is described as a very well-rounded player, someone who isn't just a physical specimen, but a football player who understands the geometry of the game. The Vikings were reportedly the only NFL team to work him out, which suggests their scouting department saw something the rest of the league missed. This is how you build a championship roster, by finding value where others are not looking. Think about the success of Ivan Pace Jr., an undrafted free agent who became a cornerstone of the Vikings defense. The Vikings have proven they can identify linebacker talent outside of the first round of the draft. Roberts comes in with that same hunger. He knows he has to earn every rep. He knows that nothing is guaranteed. But he also knows that in Minnesota, the best man plays. If you can blitz, if you can cover, if you can tackle, Brian Flores will find a place for you on the field. Having his their mouth. Do in the so noise. Get ready, Skol Nation. The 2026 campaign is being forged right now, in the shadows, with signings just like these. Skol.